Hello folks, it's Monday, December the 3rd. And welcome. Oh, where's my tea? Thanks for joining us folks. Yeah, here am I in the studio. I'm in the process of doing some raw glazing. For those of you who don't know, I don't bisque fire my pots. I just apply the glaze directly onto the clay body, and then they go straight in the kiln. I'm sort of learning still about this. There's a lot to learn, but it does definitely simplify the process, which I like. Trust me. Yeah, I was actually just here doing these tankards, and I got the feeling that the glaze down here was just a little bit on the watery side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this till tomorrow morning, and when I come in tomorrow it will have settled just a little bit, the glaze, and there'll be a little layer of water on the top, you know. So I'll carefully then with a sponge just sponge off some of that liquid, which will make effectively the glaze a little thicker. As well, I will. It's had the lid on it, you see. This is a celadon glaze, and I'm going to leave the lid off tonight, so there might be a little evaporation going on, not a great deal. So what I propose is switching over to the other side of the bench there. And I've got some other glaze, and I'm in the middle of doing some of these tumblers, beakers, and so let's go over there and do that. So bring the camera over there. Just bear with me. It's a delicate operation. Yeah, so I'm now going to be over here. Let's get a few side lights on over here just to give us a bit extra light, perhaps. Yeah, so this is it's the same glaze as the celadon, this pinky glaze here. This just has like 2% iron oxide in it, synthetic red iron oxide, whereas this, what I've got here, doesn't have any iron oxide in it at all. Okay, so let's just do a few of these. I'll show you how to do it. Yeah, the thing about raw glazing is it's best really to do, I find, do the inside of the piece first, and then let it dry off, and then come back to doing the outside, however you want to do that. Okay, let me just close enough. Let me just move this in a touch, like that. So yeah, I have a theory about this. I don't know exactly. I may have explained it to you before, and that is, you know, when you put glaze onto the outside of an absorbent clay body, whether it's bisqued or just raw, what happens is it leaves a deposit of the glaze on the surface of the clay body. Meanwhile, the water penetrates through the wall of the pot. And in the process of doing that, it expels the air out on the other side. In this case, I'll be putting the glaze on the inside. It'll leave a deposit, a layer of glaze on the surface of the inside of the pot. The water will then push through and push the air out. You see, there's air trapped in the walls of the pot. That air has got to go somewhere. And when the water is pushing through from the inside to the outside, it's going to expel that air through the wall of the pot out. And when I come, so then I'm going to let that dry off, and then I'm going to come back and glaze the outside however I want to do that, and the reverse then will happen. I need to let it dry off though in between. This is what I found. Now if I didn't do that, now what I did do originally, you see, what I did do is I double dipped it, you see, double dip, and then I wondered why. In fact, I don't know if this mug here is an example of it. I think it is. Trouble is I can't really show you very well because, at least I don't think I can. It's got a, you're not going to be able to see it very well. Just here it's got a little, hang on a minute, let me just take this camera off the tripod. Bear with me. Yeah, because this one was a second. I don't know if you can see just there on the lip, just there where my thumb is, there's a funny kind of mark. And again, round on this other side, here, there, you see that there? There's a little mark there, and you might think, well, what's that? Looks like a crack, Simon. Well, it isn't. It's not a crack. It's actually, it's like a fissure that's opened up where air has come through and lifted up the surface of the clay body to come out, let the air out. Because the air gets trapped inside, you see, if you do it, double dip it. So you've got to do it like one inside and then outside. If somebody out there knows what's actually going on better than I do, it's just my kind of loose interpretation of what is going on. All I can tell you is when I do it like this, I don't get that problem. So maybe there's some truth in it. Okay, let's do this glazing. I think I'm going to move the camera down here. Get a better line of, you can see the glaze, my pot of glaze. As you can see, I'm a bit low on glaze. I actually need to make up some glaze, don't I? Yes, you do, Simon. Come on. Okay, right. Just blow it out. I take some of this. Oh, actually, what I do is, before I do that, I just do that on the outside, and then I take this glaze, pour it in there, swill it around, and I just twist and pour like that. And then I just wipe the rim here, because when I come to dip the outside, I don't want to get like a double thickness on the rim. And once I've done that, then I give it just three or four sprays more. He's done. That's the inside done. Next, I'm going to do a few of these in a row, just so you get the picture. Oh, I didn't spray it, did I? I take these precautions of spraying the outside, so because as the pod is absorbing water, it could crack the pot, you see, because you've got that expansion going on from the inside to the outside because it's absorbing this water. So the water that I'm spraying on like this is to compensate. It's to compensate for that. Again, as I say, it is a precautionary measure. Preventative. So I'm very lightly taking that glaze just off the top there. Yeah, have a go at doing some raw glazing. I tell you what, I haven't really had to really alter this glaze very much at all. I did alter it It basically, though, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same recipe as I used to use for doing these same pots, you know, but when in a bisque fired state instead of the raw fire. And all I did was I added 2% bentonite. 2% bentonite. Again, I did that as much as anything. I did it as a precaution, just to help with the shrinkage. Now, I might not have needed to do that. I'm not really a chemist or a glaze expert. I confess, I'm not. I'm a bit of a simpleton when it comes to glazes. I tell no lie. I don't always understand exactly what's going on. I'm just kind of like... Maybe for some of you, you'll find that a bit of a relief, because I'm sure there's a load of other people out there that quite just the same. You know, I mean, I'm not a chemist. I know about glaze. I have a sort of instinct about it, but I don't really know all the technical whys and wherefores and all the chemical formulas. I don't know any of that. I very much operate from like rule of thumb, if you know what I mean. You know, try it and see, test it. If it works, well, if you have success, well, repeat it, you know. You must have done something right. It's a question of testing, isn't it? Testing, testing, testing. There's nothing like experimenting. Yeah, just give them a blowout, you know, in case they... I think I'm going to stick the camera back on the other side, because I think the lighting is actually a little bit better. Pardon me. You can see just as well what I'm doing from this side, can't you? I think the lighting's a bit better. Yeah, this central light here is a little bit over that way, so it's being over here makes it a bit of a shadow. Okay, just a few more to do here. So, yeah, spray bottle. This is the spray. This is where the spray bottle comes in. Keep your countertop spray bottles that you use for cleaning your countertops off, or other bottles that are similar, useful spray bottles like that. They come in very useful in the pottery. Yeah. So you see that's it. That's the inside done. Now you might think, well, it's rather long-winded, Simon. We like the double dipping idea better. Well, yeah, so do I. But you know, you have to do what works. I'm cutting corners a bit by not doing the bisque firing, so it does involve just a little bit more work, you know, in the actual glazing process. But I don't mind that. I'm getting used to it. Getting used to it. Come on, let's do it. Let's get them done. Get them in the kiln. I've got to get these. I want to try and get these in the kiln. Try and fire the kiln in a couple of days. One more. Yeah, tomorrow I'll do these tankards. I've got tankards and more tumblers up there. So I'll have to wait till tomorrow. It's already like 5:45 in the evening now. 3rd of December. This Friday I'm going to drive down to Richmond, Virginia, and I've got to give a workshop down there. So big hello to all those Richmondites. Okay, so that's those done. Now these guys here, I'll just tell you this, I had some cracking occurring. It can happen, you know, when I try and avoid cracking, you know, after you saw me doing the handling of these. And one of the things I do to avoid cracking is put a plastic wrap over the freshly handled tankards, whatever it is. You have to be a bit careful that the plastic doesn't cling to the handles and stick to the handles. So I've just very loosely put over, if you understand me, to kind of hold back a little bit the drying process so we don't get cracking. However, I did get just a very little bit of cracking down here, just at where the handle joined, where I did the fishtail. You can sometimes just get some vertical cracks that can occur there. It does happen. And on a number of these I did get that. So what I did was I mixed up a brew of white vinegar and dry clay body, okay, like I have here. Smell the vinegar still. And I then, with a sponge and some vinegar, first sponged over the area with neat vinegar, and then I took this brew and I just applied this over where that little cracking was going on. I did that 2 or 3 hours ago. I'm now coming back to look at these, and I'm not seeing any cracking. I'm not seeing any cracking occurring. Just it's right there where my finger is. I'm trying to. There's no cracking there. It really does work, that treatment. Yeah, they've not re-cracked at all, so that's good. Ah, now this one has re-cracked. This guy, I don't know if you can see that, just there where I'm pointing with my finger, there's a crack has reoccurred there. I'm just going to take a little bit of this brew and over that. In a sense, it's not a big deal actually, because these are going to be glazed anyway over right the way down to here. So even if there was just a small crack there at that stage, it wouldn't matter at all, because the glaze would completely go in there and just. Nevertheless, we don't like to see cracks, do we? Anyway, have a go with the, if you do get cracking, and you know, these ones, all of these ones were fine, okay, here, and the other ones that are on the stove, they were all also, they didn't have. I got those guys there that are drying. They didn't crack, but those ones that are there, where my finger, under my fingers, I move it along, those were cracked. They did have little hairline cracks, and these ones were okay here. So it's a small percentage, but I mean, nevertheless, Yeah, it's annoying, isn't it, when you see cracks like that. And anyway, they'll be fine. When they come out of the kiln, now look, here's an example of one that did crack, and I didn't fix it, and the glaze didn't. Yeah, well, you see, Simon, you see, you're talking. I don't know if you can see that there, but right there on the bottom edge of that fishtail, there is a little crack there, which must have been pretty severe, but it didn't get filled in by the glaze. This is one of the earlier examples of the raw glazing I did. This is the one that has these little fissures. Another one there. Yeah, just on the edge there, there's that where that air comes out. At least that's what I think it is. Alright folks, well thanks for watching. This is all the nitty-gritty of pottery, isn't it? Where you have to deal with. You know, it's not all plain sailing. You have problems along the way that you encounter and that you have to find a way around. And certainly though, the vinegar and dry clay is a real good. I think it works 95% of the time. It works pretty well, I have to say. Okay folks, thanks for watching. See you in the next clip. Go to my website, simonhpottery.com, and check out on my website my 2019 workshop dates. That's workshops here from this studio. Okay, thanks a lot. Keep practicing. I'll see you soon. Bye.